Looking for a college that feels like home and opens doors? Welcome to St. Cloud State, where Huskies come from all walks of life to chase big dreams. From small-town Minnesota to across the globe, SCSU is a place where everyone belongs. Whether you're into esports, student orgs, or cheering at D1 hockey games, there's always something happening on campus. And the best part? It's affordable, so you can focus on your future, not your finances. Come see it for yourself. Schedule your campus tour at St. Cloud State University, the home of the Huskies. Let's go Huskies!
For the Indians, one run on, let's see, one hit. That's all. We got one goddamn hit.
You can't say goddamn on the air.
Don't worry, nobody's listening anyway.
From the Gateway Lounge in Sioux Falls, it's Nobody's Listening Anyway. Here are your hosts, John Gaskins and Matt Zimmer.
Well, you're back from the lake, back into the city of champions, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Well, we're in the state of champions, really. Just swept the Summit League and Northern Sun with the softball, Jack's baseball, Augie baseball and softball. Now the Stampede. We just had Jimmy Olander and Ryan Crothers walk through here. So if you want to hear the chat with the president and the head coach of the now four-time Clark Cup champions, we had them. And boy, did they have an awesome story to tell. So good to see you. Now we're here to talk about it all with you. The Matt Zimmer. How are you? How was the lake?
It was good. I'm tired. I spent all day today. Spent the morning working on SDSU baseball stuff. I got a bunch of stories coming out, and then because I'm leaving on Friday for that tournament to head down to Lincoln, I mowed the lawn, washed the car, did a bunch of old man lawn dad stuff, and I'm 46 years old. That kind of takes it out of me, so I'll do my best to.
You were doing that today?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I know. It kind of feels like you need some smelling salts or something.
Yeah, I'm a little.
Okay.
It was hot out. Hot day to go out and.
Yeah, I know.
Mow and trim.
Yes. I hate it when people talk about the weather, but my God, we all have to suffer together.
Well, it's funny. Arthur plays baseball games on Tuesdays and Thursdays. His game last Thursday.
Yeah.
It was like 45 degrees, and we were bundled up in our winter coats.
Yes.
His very next game was last night, and it was 90 degrees, and we were I had to leave the game to get him a second Gatorade because he was dying he was so hot and sweaty. We didn't get anything in between. We went from his last game, it was winter. Yep. His next game, it's summer.
That's the way I was going to say it. It was nice to have those 3 days of spring where it was 65 to 75, and we just jumped right into this.
At least it's finally here. I was sick of the cold.
Well, yeah, I think we all were.
I never really complained about it being hot.
Yeah, I'm not going to complain too much. And you got to hit the lake. Did you catch anything?
The lake is empty.
Oh, okay.
I didn't even see a fish.
No.
And I was talking to my neighbors and some other fishermen. They're like, yeah, nothing. Nobody's caught anything all spring. So it's just one of those years. I don't know.
Fish aren't having enough sex?
Sometimes the theory is that early in the year when the water's really, really clear, they're spookier, but I don't know. So that was part of the we ended up coming back a day early because I was like, okay, I'm going to go down to Nebraska next weekend. I got to start, getting my hotel and credentials. So I was like, fish aren't biting anyway. Let's go home. So we came home Monday night instead of Tuesday, which was our original plan.
Okay. I mean, you gave the reason. It's more of like for yourself, but Are you okay? Are you capable of enjoying the lake, the boat, in decent weather when there isn't fish to catch?
Well, when the fish aren't biting, you want the weather to be nice so you can just lay out in the boat and enjoy the weather, and it was, so it was fine.
Okay.
Usually, like if I'm the one when the weather's crappy, everyone else is sitting inside like, this sucks. I'm like, yeah, but the fish are biting, so I'm outside.
Gotcha.
Because it tends to work that way. The crappier the weather, sometimes the more the fish bite. But
yeah. Well, you mentioned Arthur's game, first game. You were at the lake. You were probably about 3 days removed from 50 degrees and wearing your hunkering down in your hoodie at the Canaries game last week, which I think we talked about. Not sure, but
they're 8-2.
Hey, they're
right?
8-2. They're in first place. They're
and that dude we were making fun of who couldn't get out of the first inning on the home opener threw a complete game gem in his next start.
Yes.
So, sorry, Garrett. I guess we gave up on you a little early.
Garrett Martin he was on fire on Sunday. The Birds needed extra innings. They couldn't protect his 3-0 lead. I think they gave it 3 in the
but then one
ninth,
extra innings.
And then it started to frickin' rain in the 10th. Of course that happened. But hey, They won the game, kind of like the Stampede. They blew the 2-goal lead with 4 minutes left. We were all getting Canaries PTSD from the American Association Championship Series last fall, and
we were following it in the press box at the high school baseball tournament that we were doing, and they had kind of a false start. Looked like they won. They called it back, and they won later. I just, if you haven't read it, Trent Singer wrote a great column today about the Stampede coming home and their run to the championship, and he included in the story Jimmy O's call.
Yes.
What a great – we talked about how good Jimmy is, and
Yeah.
that's a tremendous call of a great moment.
I was totally agree, and I had a lot to say about that on the monologue yesterday here on Happy Hour. But we were watching it with Jimmy O's call at the Birdcage. I was in the press box with Randy Preston, the PA, who also does Stampede games. Christine also does. She's the she runs the show basically. Everything that besides the hockey and Randy's voice, everything else you see on the video board, that's Christine, and she does it for everybody in town. Skyforce, games, any game, college or pro at the Pentagon, and Canaries. And anyway, we're watching it together. We see the 2 great saves by Lenards, and then you see Macrina get the puck, and everybody's just like, go, like, do it, like, end it right here. And by God, he does.
He was incredible all season, really, but in the playoffs, you kind of knew when the puck was on his stick in that moment, like, this is it.
Shortest but clearly fastest guy.
Perfect way to end it,
It's like that old ice hockey game on Nintendo. There was always a little short dude. There's like a tall, slender. Do you remember the ice hockey game on Nintendo? It was just called
ice hockey. I know the game. I never played it.
Oh, okay. You only had, it was 4-on-4, and you get to choose. You get to choose each team. Like, do you want 4 big, huge powder keg guys? Do you want 4 Slim Jims or 1 short, small fry?
Theo Fleury.
Yeah, and you kind of have your combination of what kind of a team you wanted. Macrina's, of course, the little small fry, but yeah. So we were going nuts and listening to Jimmy's call, and then I just saw the tweet of it, and I was like, my God, he just nailed it. That was so perfect. And of course, he's been there for 20 years, and so it's genuine enthusiasm you can't get from anyone besides somebody who's been doing it for 20 years. But we talked about all that, how that was a fitting end to the game and the season in our discussion with Ryan and Jimmy. But hey, and then there was that was the same day South Dakota State's baseball team is improbably winning the Summit League tournament. Those were just a few hours away from each other. It feels like USD softball all over again.
Very much so.
You have a losing team, a team with a losing record that kind of caught fire, or at least warmed up toward the end of the regular season. The Yotes had won 10 of 15 going into the NCAA tournament. And the Jacks baseball had won 9 of 12 before they lost 3 in Omaha the week before the Summit League tournament. And then here they are. They roll through it. They take down the number 1 seed. Each of them took down the number 1 seed twice in the tournament, including the championship. And they both roll into the NCAA tournament with the worst record, or one of the worst records in the field, and a 10th-year head coach that won his first title that everybody feels pretty happy for.
Yeah, it's nice to feel some buzz around South Dakota State baseball, because obviously college baseball isn't as big in this part of the country as it is in other places, mostly because of the season, the weather. There's just not that many home games, and it's cold, and by the time it warms up here, the season's over. So people have never been really invested in it. But having said that, we've talked a lot in the last few years about how Augustana has kind of become a baseball, softball school with the success they've had. And, SDSU's fan base is obviously pretty rabid. We know football, basketball, but you see how they've responded to wrestling and volleyball in the last few years. They're drawing huge crowds for volleyball now. When Chris Bono came in and got wrestling going, they started selling out Frost for wrestling duels. And I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case in baseball, but I do feel like there's been sort of a thirst for, like, hey, come on, we want this program to be relevant. I don't think Justin Sell was ever entertaining the idea of getting rid of baseball when, a lot of schools have been. I think it's just been like, hey, we need to get this going. All of our other teams are winning. All of our other teams are going to the NCAA tournament. And baseball wasn't getting – and it's not like they sucked. They weren't the doormats of the Summit League every year. Every few years they get into the conference championship game. They just never win it. And a big reason is Oral Roberts is this – this giant in the league. You mentioned it on your show yesterday. They're to the baseball what SDCU's women are to women's basketball.
Actually, it was
in the summer
Rob
league.
that brought that up.
Okay, yeah,
Rob
but
Bishop.
it's a perfectly apt comparison.
22 out of 27.
Yeah.
22 out of 27.
And they made the
Summer
College
League
World Series 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a legit program.
Yeah.
And so I really feel like, not that they're like a sleeping giant or whatever, but again, that there was an appetite for this. There was people out there like, we want this team to be good, and when they won, my phone started blowing up from people I know that are into baseball, and I'm actually working on a story right now talking to a bunch of the guys from the 2013 team. That was the first SDSU team. And I haven't talked to these guys in 10 years, And I reached out to them, and it was like we were, drinking buddies that have just hadn't talked to each other in a couple weeks. I was like, Zim, what's up? Yeah, baseball. Yeah, let's talk. Yeah, Jax, all right. And every one of them that I talked to admitted, like, yeah, I haven't been living and dying with Jax baseball over the years, but I follow them, and I've just been kind of like, hey, I really wish they'd make a run, wish they'd get in the tournament. And now that they're here, all these Jax alums, all these Jax fans, all these baseball fans are like, yeah, I'm all about it. Let's, there's, and the great thing is they're playing Nebraska, 3 hours away. So everyone can go.
Yeah.
I talked to a bunch of guys like, you bet I'm going. I'm bringing my kids. We're going down there. We're getting hotel rooms. We're making a thing out of it. So, that's kind of the beauty of college sports, when you're an alumni and your team does something and you've been waiting for it. And plus I know how much, I caught part of your interview with Rob, and I talked to Rob a couple times, and Rob's a good coach and he's a good dude. So I think he knows better than to make it about himself. But I'll say, this is a big deal for Rob Bishop. He's been there for 10 years, and he hasn't been able to do this, and he's been trying, and he's been banging his head against the wall trying to make this thing work, and every time they get close, one of their best players transfers to a bigger place, or, they get a season-ending injury to one of their best players. I mean, he's been knocking on the door, and I'm sure there were times where he wondered, is this ever going to happen?
Sure.
And I've heard from Jax fans that have been like, geez, maybe it's time for a change, this isn't working, and to see them finally do it, and do it the way they did it, as an underdog, and to beat Oral Roberts. The team that made it in 2013, Oral Roberts was in the Southland that year. The Jacks had to, I don't want to take anything away from them,
Sure.
but they beat Western Illinois and North Dakota State to get to the NCAA
Kind of like
tournament.
eliminating North Dakota State from the Valley.
Yeah, this team had to beat Oral Roberts twice, and Oral Roberts destroyed them during the regular season. They were 0-19 against Oral Roberts in the Summit League tournament before this. So you can't overstate what a big deal this is, how excited people in Brookings are about this, how excited the local baseball community is about this, and I'm really happy for them. I'm really happy for all those players. I'm really happy for Rob Bishop. I'm happy for Billy McMacken, for Chuck Sendelbach, for all the old-timers that have stuck with this program and how much it means to them. This is a big moment for them, and I hope to see a lot of them in Lincoln on Friday.
They woke up the echoes. I mean, to your point, he's only had really one. I'm just looking purely at Summit League record because he explained yesterday that they play their first 20, 25, 30 games on the road, and they often beef up their schedule and play. They go to Nebraska, they go to Oklahoma State. USD softball, same thing that Robert Wagner was telling us a couple weeks ago. So the record's never going to be that good in non-conference, and really, it's not great in men's basketball sometimes either.
Right.
Same concept. So overall record, you kind of have to dismiss. You look at Summit League record, and he's dead 500 in his 10 years against the Summit League, and you're in a league with now Oral Roberts, the 800-pound gorilla. But he also mentioned there's a difference between the winners here and the winners in Omaha. Like they get a few more days a year of warm enough baseball, and they've got sparkling facilities, and they were the number 2 seed. It makes Northern Colorado, you think of the Rockies, and that's just on the cusp of the range, and Greeley near Denver, you think snow and skiing. No, their winters are milder than they are here. They don't get sleet and bullshit like that. The snow melts pretty easily. They get a lot of 45-degree days in January and February. So that's the lay of the land. You have those 3 teams that kind of have the weather advantage and should get the better players. And then NDSU, SDSU, and St. Thomas are all kind of in the same boat. You would think St. Thomas maybe in baseball has an advantage because there's more talent to choose from in a bigger market, but whatever. And so... I mean, you've mentioned he's just kind of in the last few years, 13-9, 13-11, 11-17, 13-15, 12-15, just kind of just kind of languishing there. So this was literally a breakout at just the right time. But he said, and you've kind of alluded to it, we're the team that cashed it in. We've had some other teams that were good, just didn't. But we had to face Oral Roberts twice on that championship Saturday, and that's really hard to beat that program twice. This time they only need to beat them once.
The key was Sam Schleck throwing a gem in the first game of the tournament and beating Oral Roberts. As soon as they did that, I thought, well, they have a shot. Because in a weird way, getting the 4 seed, I don't want to say it's a benefit necessarily, but it does set it up where if you can steal that first one against Oral Roberts, then you not only are 1-0 and in the winner's bracket, but you already played the beast. You already got them out of the way.
Yeah.
So either someone can knock them off for you so you don't have to play them again, or if they manage to fight their way back, they have to beat you twice. And let's not kid ourselves. When they did get back to Saturday, we all thought it's not impossible that Oral Roberts will beat them twice because they're deeper. They're just better. They're a better team. But however they did it, SDSU's pitching staff had like a 7.40 ERA coming into the tournament, and they went 3.0 in the tournament. Schleck throws a gem in game 1. Ty Madison, Drew McDowell, Ty Madison, he's sort of their closer. He's sort of their, I don't even know what you call him necessarily, but they were just going to ride him as much as they could in the tournament, and he was the MVP of the tournament. They pitched well, I don't care if they didn't pitch great all season. They did in that tournament, and here they are. And that's we talk about this all the time. That's the beauty of we talk about all the disadvantages of mid-major sports, and there's obviously a ton of them, and we're going to see them now when they go down to Lincoln and play against 3 top 25 blue bloods. But all you have to do is get hot for a weekend and spring an upset, and there you are.
This is a case, Rob said, of the youngest team out of 6, only 6 in the league. And so
their whole lineup is freshmen and sophomores.
It's a case of you don't know what you don't know, or or you think it probably is, which can help the psychology. You kind of got nothing to lose, which should only serve them well as they go down there. Now, what they run into on Friday at 3:00 is, if you're hosting a regional, you're one of the top 16 teams in the country. You're pretty effing good. Nebraska is number 13 out of 16. They're 23-1 at home. 23-1, and they were perfect in the Big Ten, which is not a behemoth baseball league, but it does have Oregon, UCLA, USC. All those teams should be better than the others. Their only loss, though, is against Kansas, amazingly, at home. So they were perfect in the Big Ten, and they're going to have 7,500, 8,000 fans there. You're going to love it. I don't know if you've ever been down there for a game. Have you?
Yeah.
Okay. When?
So about 15 years ago, I was down in Lincoln in April covering the USHL playoffs. Stampede were playing the Lincoln Stars, and the game, the hockey games are all at night.
Yeah.
And so the Stampede played on Friday night. I covered that game, and then they're going to play again on Saturday night.
Yeah.
Well, Saturday afternoon, the Huskers were hosting Texas at Haymarket Park at like noon.
Yeah.
I'm sitting around all day waiting for the Stampede game. I was like, oh, hey, I'll walk down to Haymarket, watch the Huskers play. And it was funny, I have a whole day to kill. I'm by myself. And so I was like, I'll get there 2 hours early and watch batting practice and just hang out.
As you do.
I'm a baseball dork.
Yes.
And so I buy a GA ticket and just sit down right in front of the dugout to watch BP and watch them take infield. And I'm just thinking, it's April, conference play hasn't started, it's cold, nobody's going to show up. I can probably just sit here for the game, And pretty soon an hour goes by and people are starting to file in. More time goes by, people are starting to file in. I look around and I'm like, holy shit, they're going to sell this, or I don't know, sell it out, but it's going to be full.
Yeah.
I had to go sit in the seat that I bought the ticket for $5 up in the right field corner because Longhorns, and Longhorns were SEC at the I guess Big 12, at the time. So it would have been probably a conference game because I think Nebraska was still in the Big 12 at the time.
That's kind of a rivalry.
Right. So maybe in hindsight I was dumb to think that, but I just was like, wow, I can't believe freezing cold April day that they were full for a Nebraska-Texas game. It was a blast, and it's a nice park. Yeah. I've been there once to see the Canaries play Lincoln. It's a nice park. That Haymarket district is cool.
Yeah.
I'm actually really excited to go down. I can't wait.
If I have a pro tip, for Jacks fans who haven't been down there, going to the games, Haymarket Park is next to the Haymarket district, but there's a bridge that separates them. It's not right there. So if you do want to tailgate at bars, there's great ones in the Haymarket. You could go on O Street, but why? tons of bars in the Haymarket. They got the big cube. It's officially called the like Union Bank Cube, but everybody calls it the Rail Yard. And they'll have some giant big screen TV. They'll probably have baseball games on, and it's a great outdoor hang. And so either go downtown a couple hours, 3 hours before the game if you want to drink at bars, and then park your car down there and walk across the bridge. Or you can beat all the parking to Haymarket Park. It's going to be full within a half hour before the game. Yeah. And you can tailgate in the lot. But either way, there's a bridge between the park and the rail yard, and you're going to have a blast. And it is a great. It was built kind of as a mini Camden Yards type of.
What's the capacity? Like 10?
It's with the berms. It's close to 10. I don't know if they've ever had 10 there. I mean, even when they've had super regionals a couple times, there's a lot of berm space. But I think
Nebraska baseball's been great for the last 20 years.
They have.
Yeah, they have.
8,500.
Made the College World Series in 2005. They've been to the tournament several times. This is their third year in a row in the tournament.
Yeah, they've gotten better.
It dropped off a couple years after the World Series, and that's when they made the coaching change. But,
yes.
they've been pretty good under Will Bolt.
Darren Erstad was the manager for 8 years, a former big leaguer with the Angels, and they were okay under him. They just haven't been. They were spectacular for my last couple of years of college when they went to the World Series, and then they went to a third one with Alex Gordon, eventual Kansas City Royal, Jabba Chamberlain. Yeah. 2005, that was their best team. They beat Miami in a super regional in Lincoln. They haven't gotten back to that in 20 years. This is as close as they've been. I don't think they're as good as that, but they should get out of this weekend. They should be the favorites.
It's an awesome pot.
Oh my God,
Arizona State.
Yeah. Hey, yeah.
Arizona State's got Landon Hairston might win the Golden Spikes Award. Okay. I mean, I can't wait to watch him. But I'm gonna stick around just to watch that game.
Wow.
Nice. Yeah, it couldn't be a better draw for SDSU, at least as far as from the fan standpoint. Because you can go. Yes. It's only a 3.5 hour drive, 4 from Brookings, whatever. So people may make that drive. And the Jacks are the only mid-major there. It's not like it's them and, American or something. It's Nebraska, Ole Miss, and Arizona State. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and somebody tweeted about the uniforms are all sensational.
Yeah, they are.
Nebraska's probably the fourth best uniform.
The Jacks have never played Arizona State or Ole Miss.
Wow.
So one of them, they'll get to play for the first time ever.
We'll see if the Jacks sport the powder blues, because those are it feels like everybody's favorites, right?
Their black ones are pretty sharp, too. Okay. I like those, too. And their white ones. Jacks baseball uniforms have always been great.
Yeah. There's the corner bar there. Back to the tips of the drinking and the eating. The corner bar is right there across the street from Pinnacle Bank Arena, which is right across the street from the rail yard and right across the bridge from the park. Corner bar is a great spot. A friend of mine's brother-in-law owns it, and it's very spacious. And right there on the rail yard, it's probably where you can get your drinks to drink in the rail yard. Lead Belly. Go eat at a place called Lead Belly. It's right there in the Haymarket. It's a great low-key ambiance, and for good evening drinking down there. If you like a little classy lounge that reminds you, like, you think you're Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr., it's called the Starlight Lounge. Downstairs, they make all kinds of great. Their specials are martinis, and they have a million of them. Something different that you don't get in Brookings or Sioux Falls. The Starlight Lounge. Otherwise, there's bars all over the place. Sports bars, can't go wrong. So enjoy. I wanted to go. I can't because of the Canaries this weekend. So I'm a little jealous of you. Enjoy your time. So Zim will have the coverage of that at SiouxFallsLive.com.
I think Trent's going to go, just like getting tickets, going as a fan.
Really?
Yep. My dad and his wife are going. They got tickets. It's funny, my dad didn't even know.
I've got FOMO.
Yeah, my dad didn't even know that the Jacks had won, and so I'm up at the lake, and on Monday morning they had the selection show.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, I need the TV for a minute. And he's like, what? I was like, the NCAA selection show. He's like, oh, all right. Yeah. So we watch it, and Nebraska, Lincoln, and he's like, wait, they're going to play in Lincoln on Friday? And I go, yeah. He goes, think I'd be able to get tickets for that? And I said, yeah, if you try.
Maybe.
And so they got online yesterday right when they went on sale, and yeah, so they're going.
Where are you staying?
Downtown, walking distance from the park.
Okay, good. Yes, yeah. That's what you got to do. Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah.
Hopcat. Go to Hopcat. That's another place. It's called Hopcat. If you want to go to the College Bars Strip on O Street, music venues, there's Zoo Bar and Duffy's. Great old music venue, good old-fashioned bars. if you want to see some live music later at night, they'll have them. All right, I guess I'll clear this out of the way. You mentioned you were at state baseball. How was that? You called a little baseball. You called a state championship for us here at Midwest Sports Plus. You did the Class A's in Sioux Falls before you took off for the lake.
Yep, it was fun. Zach Borg did a great job on play-by-play. I know Zach hasn't had too many opportunities to do play-by-play until we brought him on board, and he's enjoying it, and I think he does a really good job.
He clearly enjoys it.
Yep. And Brian Stabner came on too, so we did a 3-man booth, which I was a little like, you sure about that?
Yeah.
Like, is that maybe too many cooks in the kitchen? And especially since me and Brian are amateurs, it's not like we've ever really done it before. I see professional 3-man booths where it's like, oh my God, this is a nightmare. These guys won't shut up and everyone's talking over each other.
Yeah.
So I was a little nervous that it might not work, but I thought it went great. Zach did most of the talking, as he tends to do. But no, it was fun, and the baseball was pretty good. And congratulations to Brandon, first time back-to-back champs. Felt bad for Watertown. They were one strike away from what would have been their first championship in 95 years.
I was pretty that particular championship Saturday. I was golfing in the afternoon, then Canaries game at night. But I did see a few tweets. Am I not wrong that one of the games, and there were two semis and a championship, that you kind of were anticipating what was about to happen, and it happened? He like this. He kind of wants to hit it over to this part of the fields to drive the runner home.
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't remember.
Okay, it's just what you do. Brandon Valley repeats. Didn't they? And Watertown came out as the number 8 seed, guns a-blazing.
And yeah, they beat Harrisburg, the number 1 seed.
Sounded like there were some exciting
games.
games.
And then they knocked out Yankton, and then they should have beat Brandon.
Yeah. Madison won the Class Bs over the past couple of days, Monday and Tuesday. How much better is the baseball, like high school wise, around here than? Or actually, better way to ask, how is the baseball?
It's good. It's better. Everything's better than it was. There's kids that throw 92 miles an hour now. When I was playing high school baseball, guys that threw 82 miles an hour were considered, like, holy cow, this guy throws gas. It's just kind of the same about, how we talk about how Division I football has transcended everything here, and basketball is better. I grew up in Sioux Falls in the 90s, and when I was leaving high school in the mid to late 90s was right when it was just starting to kind of like, hey, let's try to get more serious about this. Like, let's try to take it up a notch. We were still a couple years away from SDSU going Division I, but my senior year was when which would have been 97, 98, you started seeing schools and like Avera and Sanford was Sioux Valley at the time, offering like circuit training classes and strength training, and you started seeing like summer baseball camps, and like there used to be nothing like that. Like you just played your Legion baseball season in the summer. You played high school football. Maybe you went to a John Stiegelmeier camp in the summer in up in Brookings or whatever Augie football camp that they were having, but it was pretty basic shit, And I think people just kind of started realizing, like, we're not really good at anything because we're not really putting up too much of the work into it. And all of a sudden, now I could go off on a whole other tangent that maybe it's probably gone too far in the other direction, that now every parent is being told that they have to spend 6 figures on their kids to give them the equipment and give them the personal trainers and the personal coaches and the traveling team and the other traveling team and the weight training.
To interject, Rob Bishop interestingly said a lot of the guys they recruit are quarterbacks on the football team and point guards on the basketball team, and they haven't really blossomed in baseball yet, which I found interesting. Maybe that's because they don't usually get the best from around here, but anyway.
There's a lot of South Dakota kids on that team, and there have been, and they're better teams. But long story short, yes, baseball, just like football and basketball in the Sioux Empire area, has taken huge strides in the last few years.
And that can partly explain how the Canaries get more local talent.
Absolutely.
Not so much this year, although there's a kid from Brandon on the team, and Josh Raywalt, one of the best sluggers in their league, played at the University of Sioux Falls. He's from the Twin Cities area, but Augie, banging it up the last 10 years.
When the Canaries first,
Tim Huber's had a lot more to choose from.
I'm sure now that their season's over, a couple of those guys will be on the Canaries roster before you know it.
USF is improving, and I know they don't get all their kids from Sioux Falls. A lot of these schools go up to, they dip into Iowa and Minnesota, but there's just more to choose from for all of them. Yes.
I remember
In South Dakota.
Canaries, or a couple Augie dudes trying out for the Canaries in the 90s. And, no. I remember one guy, can't remember his name, but he was like an ace pitcher for Augie in the NCC days. And he was going to try out for the Canaries. And it was like a headline in the Argus Leader, like, Canaries giving a tryout to Augie pitcher. And he lasted like 2 outings. He went out for the Canaries and just got absolutely rocked.
Oh.
Now, part of that is Division II baseball wasn't as good then as it is now, I don't think. Because, again, you go to an Augie game now, and their starters are all throwing 92, 93. But also, in fairness, the Canaries, like the Northern League it was at the time, was one of the only independent leagues out there.
Yeah.
You had Darryl Strawberry and Jack Morris and Leon Durham and Pedro Guerrero. So everything was a little bit different back then. But, we've talked about it many, many times on this show, like how far sports in South Dakota has come in the last 25 years, whether it's from SDSU going Division I, the high school programs taking it up several notches, youth programs, all of it. It's been a continuous move up,
Yeah, and everything. By the way, maybe the Canaries will add a player or two from Augie now that their season is over. They got swept in Central Missouri in their bid to go to
They might have to wait till after the draft, because if guys think they might get drafted, they're not going to want to go pitch for the Canaries and
when is the draft?
risk an injury. It's usually in June, I think.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
But there's only, 20 rounds in the draft now? There used to be like 60. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Ever since COVID. It's another thing that COVID ruined, the MLB
Yay.
draft. Yeah. July 11th?
Thank you. July 11th,
wow.
says Cordell. Meanwhile, since we last chatted, Greta Melstead took the job at Minnesota. And like, that's one of those things like, wow, that's a big deal, Augie to Minnesota. But I think all of us around here kind of nodded our heads like, yeah, that makes sense. They hired a good one. They should be thrilled to have her, not the other way around,
Yeah.
But I don't know. What was your reaction?
It caught me off guard.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think she's undeserving. I don't think it's a reach.
Yeah.
They just generally don't do that, you know? I mean, we talked about USD should go after Greta. Why didn't SDSU go after Greta? And all of a sudden, straight to the Big Ten?
Yeah.
From Division II to the Big Ten?
Yeah.
I mean, holy cow, that is a big deal. I mean, awesome for Greta. She's from Minnesota,
right,
so that probably helps. But we talked about it a couple times. You can't really understate what she did there. They were a middling program when she got there. In short order, she made them national contenders. And much like Tim Huber, just being a tournament contender is good enough. No one expects you to win national championships when you're playing in South Dakota.
Yeah,
and
it's one thing to dominate a region where everybody's in the same boat with the weather.
Right, exactly. So to win a national championship, which she did, and then even this year, they have the worst season they've had in 15 years, and they get their shit together and win the tournament and go back to the Nationals again. I mean, I just am really happy for her. I think that's a huge feather in the cap for Augustana, for the NSIC, for Division II. And I really, really hope she's successful.
No idea who the other candidates were. She replaces a coach that went about 500 and we're 16-36 this past year. And she was the replacement for a coach who's still the coach at Ole Miss. So Minnesota, the two coaches
because that O'Gorman kid was playing at Ole Miss. That's right, yeah.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
The two coaches before this coach that Greta's replacing, they moved on. I think they both moved on to even bigger and better jobs, but they had that program rolling, and things kind of slowed to a crawl with this one, and so they were making the change, and they're hoping Greta can rev up the engines again. And of course, we're biased. We believe she can. She knows the area well, obviously, recruiting-wise, and has a very big name, decent name, and reputation in the radius that spans from Sioux Falls to the Twin Cities. Just a guess. I think it's a pretty safe guess. I think she's taking Kelsey Thompson, who I believe is her sister. We're related.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But
Kelsey was the head coach at USF for a while, star softball player, and she's been with Greta for several years. If she is going with her, that's what
Trent sensed, and Trent has good connections at Augustana, so that's the word, because that would have been the first person I think a lot of Augie people would think of, like, hey, she should take over for Greta. But
I'm sure she'd make more as an assistant at Minnesota than she would as the head coach at Augie.
But one of the first, we talked about Greta recently after winning this title, and we've mentioned, and I went back and listened to the interview that I did with her last year about her path. And yeah, she said, yes, I've been offered some bigger jobs, higher levels here and there. We think at least once at South Dakota State, maybe even USD. But she didn't say it, but for obvious reasons. Why? I mean, Augustana's probably a better job than those two in some ways. You're living in Sioux Falls, better community or bigger city. And you
in those sports, the money just isn't enough.
Yeah, we talked about this with USD. Like, it's just not, the money's not a big difference. So, and what Trent mentioned, that Greta also mentioned when I talked to her, her son's a junior hockey player. He's a really good hockey player, and he's going to get some bigger hockey chances in the state of Minnesota too. But now it now makes sense why Greta was turning down some of those, we're guessing, mid-major Division I jobs, because there's probably very few jobs she would leave Augustana for. This would be one.
Yeah.
This would be the job. So thumbs up and congrats to Greta. I mean, and then we haven't really dove into the Stampede. Again, Trent wrote a great article. Okay, so what's going on that you're laughing at over here? No, it's okay.
This guy just got hit in the face trying to catch a fly ball.
We're watching the Diamondbacks and Giants here on a Wednesday afternoon at Gateway. That's what's great about baseball is, usually
this guy lost a fly ball in the sun, and I think it hit him right in the face.
Well, he's not walking off the field or anything, so that's good.
Yeah. Anyway.
Is that Luis Arraez up at the plate? Okay.
He's hitting .322. Good
wow.
for him. I still don't miss him.
Anyway,
Stampede, you were saying.
Singer wrote a great column, and again, I encourage people to stick around if you're watching the full show at SiouxFallsLive.com, listening to the full show wherever you're getting your podcasts, that, they've been telling their story throughout the playoffs and certainly after they won, but I don't know, here with Jim and Ryan together, it was great to kind of, find out how they put this all together, starting with the hiring of Ryan a couple of years ago as the head coach, but then just all the twists and turns they went through just on this playoff run. What did you get out of it? I mean, you've been here in Sioux Falls for all 4 of their Clark Cups, and they all have their own life, especially when they're kind of spread out like all of them were.
I just thought it was really cool how big the crowds were. Because when I covered the Stampede back in the day, you'd have these great crowds throughout the regular season, and then the playoffs would come around, and it's like, okay, season tickets are expired or whatever. We're in the arena, Sioux Falls Arena.
Not a great hockey venue.
And and it was funny, like whether it was Kevin Hartzell or Gary Weckworth or Jimmy, they would always kind of say, well, yeah, the crowds are smaller, but it's the best crowds because these are the people that are here because they care about the actual hockey. They're not here for a night out on the town or whatever. They're here to watch playoff hockey, to root for us to win. And that wasn't complete bullshit. I mean, it was like, they were the most engaged crowds. Yeah. But it was often 1,100 people, Yeah, they were loud and they were engaged, but it was a small crowd. And now all of a sudden, they're in the Premier Center, which is obviously a much better venue than the Sioux Falls Arena was. Those tickets aren't cheap, man. And they just got done playing 60 games during the regular season, and they're getting 6,000-7,000 for these playoff games. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And it's a cool thing for the city. Sioux Falls. I'll never buy the idea that Sioux Falls is a hockey town now. No, it's not. Most people in Sioux Falls don't care about hockey, but there's a big cult or clique or whatever of people who are heavily involved in hockey. Youth hockey, Stampede hockey, Augie hockey now is tapping into that, and that's a big thing. And Augie hockey has been as successful as anyone could have hoped it would be.
Right.
Stampede have been here for 30-some years now, won 4 championships. They've sent dudes to the NHL. We know all that, but now there's local guys going on to play D1 hockey. Guys that are playing that Walker Dewars in the NHL. He came from Sioux Falls. Zeb Knutson was the first one who came out of the Sioux Falls Flyers and played for the Stampede and went to Mankato and almost made the NHL. I mean, it was unheard of 30 years ago to think that a hockey player from Sioux Falls could even make it to college hockey, let alone pros. So that's really been a positive, and I'm just really happy that they won and continue to value what the Stampede bring to the South Dakota sports scene.
Well, this kid from Pierre who was playing for the Muskegon Lumberjacks.
Isn't he an UND recruit, I think, or somebody?
Sorry, and he's in the Pens, drafted by the Pens organization. So really good player. I I'm sure you know this because of Trent's story. They had they had a celebration at the Birdcage, and Ryan Carruthers just wanted a parade. He started promising his players a parade if they won it all, and he kind of then had to beg for forgiveness instead of asking for permission from the owners and Jimmy, like, find a way for us to do a parade. So I guess some fans lined up outside of the ballpark on West Avenue. And there were fire trucks and whatever vehicles were carrying the guys on the team, and they cheered them in, and then they did a whole, little ceremony in the Birdcage and autographs and all that stuff. So, which I don't know if I've ever. Would you know of teams that have ever done that? Something like that?
When the Skyforce won their first title in 95 or whatever, 95, 96, when they arrived back from Florida, I don't remember who they were playing, but they get back to the Sioux Falls airport, and there are a bunch of fans waiting for them at the airport. And that wasn't like a planned, the Skyforce didn't organize that. A bunch of fans just showed up on their own. And I remember Mo McCone, who was the Skyforce coach at the time, because Sioux Falls was nuts about the Skyforce back then. Like, to the degree that people are like SDSU football right now. Like, that's how big of a deal the Skyforce were for that little moment in time. Yep. And I remember Mo McCone telling me multiple times, I'm sure he's told Stu was the Skyforce beat writer at the time for the Argus Leader, that, we always knew that we were lucky and that we had more fans than most CBA basketball teams do, and that it was kind of a weird, unique thing. But when we showed up at the airport, or maybe there was a reception at the Western Mall, something, I don't remember what it was, but whatever it was, Mo was just like, what planet are we on? Love another one. Like that hundreds of people are showing up to welcome a CBA basketball team for winning this championship.
Did he think it was really cool, or was he kind of like, what's going
I mean, mostly pretty cool. Mostly pretty cool.
With you people. Okay.
There was you know who Tim Legler is? He's now known as an analyst. This is how creepy it was. Or not creepy. Psycho kind of was with the Skyforce. Legler played for the Omaha Racers, who were the Skyforce's big rival. And Legler was probably the best player in the CBA. He ended up having an NBA career, but he had to toil in the CBA for about 4 or 5 years.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, and he was really, really good. Thank you. And he was
with Omaha.
Yes.
Okay.
So I just said he's Omaha Racers.
Yeah.
He was their star player.
Yeah, I remember seeing him.
They were the Skyforce big rival.
Yeah.
And Stu interviewed him after a big game. I don't know if it was a playoff game or whatever. But he asked Legler, and this is before Legler became a famous analyst. He was just a CBA dude. He asked him about the crowd in Sioux Falls and how they impact the game. And Legler was like, yeah, it's pretty amazing, but it's almost like, get a life, you losers. It's the CBA. Like, what kind of people come out and fill out an arena to watch CBA basketball? And so Stu ran that in his article. And the next time Omaha came to play at the arena, the Skyforce fans, I don't know if the Skyforce printed them out or whatever, but all the Skyforce fans held up these handheld signs that said "Got a life?" ? Oh
wow!
Like they were and I remember thinking, like, you're just proving his point. Like that's really pathetic.
Yes.
But they were all into it, and it was just a whole thing. Like it was, and then a few years later, Legler went to the NBA and went on. Now he's a famous analyst.
What you're reminding me of is there was a Saturday Night Live mid-'80s William Shatner host. Yeah. Okay, you know what I mean? Yes. Yeah. Where get
a life, you people.
It's a Saturday Night Live skit where he's at one of these Star Trek conventions, and you got like Dana Carvey and John Lovitz. They are dressed as these big Star Trek nerds, like dressed as the Trekkies, and they're just like, what was the combination on the lockbox in season 7, episode 2? I mean, this big debate was it. And after about 3 of those types of questions, William Shatner just kind of turns on a dime, being nice and jovial to, what is wrong with you people? This was a TV show. This was pretend. Make believe. You, sir, have you ever kissed a girl? Do you? No, I'll ask you another time. It was the Stampede winning and having a run, and it would be, and you having seen their titles would be a gratuitous story for me to ask you a certain funny story you've told me a few times about, not a confrontation, but a little back and forth you had with one of the players in the locker room once.
But we don't need to bring that up.
Okay. That's too bad because it's really good. It's really funny. By the way, some news coming down the pike here before we take off. North Dakota State's football team We learn of a lot of televised college football games. Today was like a big schedule television release day. 10 NDSU games will be on national television this fall between Fox, CBS, CW Network. Possibility of a couple games to be televised by a local station, but anyway, yeah, you could go to our friends at inforum.com. I don't want to go through it, but I'm bringing it up just because it's like we're all living vicariously in a world that some Jackrabbit and Coyote fans would like to live in someday, potentially in FBS. Some do, some don't. But I think everybody's watching with a keen eye every little checkpoint that NDSU goes through, and that's one of them today where we realize you get to be on national TV a lot more often. Is it random national TV? Yes, but it still is more than we get around here. You know, we treat every ESPN Plus or ESPNU, especially an ESPN2 game, like a big deal. So what do you think of this?
Good for them.
Okay. Are you going to be watching?
When I'm, if it's on and I'm not at another game, yeah. I'll definitely be very interested in what's going on with NDSU. I will, whether I'm able to watch the games live, I will definitely be following them closely. I mean, I'll be reading all of Jeff and Mike's stuff, you know, and I'm rooting for him. I really am. I think Tim Polasek's a great guy. Chris Kleiman was a great guy.
Yes.
Every interaction I've ever had in the Fargo Dome with their football program, with their basketball program, with their baseball program, I'm an NDSU fan in so much as, you know, I can be.
Clip and save that.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm rooting for him.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess that's about it. Knicks, NBA Finals. Does that make you more interested because the Knicks are in it?
I wouldn't say it makes me more interested, but I was happy to see they won. The Knicks have never really been good in my lifetime, you know, other than a couple here and there.
The Patrick Ewing teams that just couldn't take down the Bulls.
I was just going to say, when I was the height of my NBA fandom was in the 90s when I was a teenager.
Yep.
And I was a huge Patrick Ewing fan. And that year that John Starks kind of became Ewing's wingman and they kind of went at the Bulls. And
Charles Oakley, the enforcer.
Yep. I really, for Patrick Ewing's sake, wanted to see them get past the Bulls and at least make a finals. And they did
after Jordan retired.
Yep. And they never won a championship, and that always kind of, I know, I just always like, it'd kind of be nice to see the Knicks win. Like, it's funny now, the Yankees won so many titles and people hate them, whatever. When the Yankees won the title in '95, that was their first World Series championship of my lifetime. And I was rooting for them because I was like, this is the story, you know, Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle. I've never seen the Yankees win a championship. I kind of want to see that. So in '95, I was kind of rooting for the Yankees. Now, after they won 7 more in the next 10 years, I was sick of it. But, you know, it's kind of the same thing here. And plus, Cat plays for the Knicks. Yeah. And, you know, I was a big Cat fan when he was on the Wolves. So I'm glad they made it. I'm kind of hoping San Antonio beats Oklahoma City. And then I'll probably be rooting for I would probably root for the Knicks to win going out.
Well, the Spurs will have to win games 6 and 7 for that to happen. Becky Hammond, by the way, who's assistant for the Spurs, of course, the head coach of the Las Vegas Aces, which used to be San Antonio.
Wait, what's the West Series?
I think OKC's leading 3-2. Yeah.
OK leads 3-2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. They won last night. So, by the way, to be honest, I was going to bring this up. I haven't been as nearly interested. My interest has waned since the Wolves were eliminated.
I haven't watched a single game.
I thought because I saw them play the Spurs, I'd be interested to see what would happen in the Spurs series, and I don't know.
My dad and I watched a little bit of the Spurs Thunder on Sunday night, and there was a blowout. So yeah.
But I'm with you. I think it's a little more interesting when the Knicks are there. It's in Madison Square Garden's a hallowed venue. It gets the NBA Finals, and haven't seen too much of that in our lives. All right, that's about it. Glad you got through this. Go take some IVs or something. And we're done. For those of you consuming the full show, Jim Olander, Ryan Crothers, the wonderful story, and the final chapter, really, since we talked about them last week, of the Sioux Falls Stampede Clark Cup champions. And we have a very special guest, very famous South Dakota sports special guest lined up for tomorrow. Don't want to jinx it, not going to say his name, but it's a big one. And so we hope it all connects and you'll get to enjoy it soon. Cheers. Why are you laughing?
That was a terrible outro.
You.
You guys need a round of drinks?
Yes.
At St. Cloud State University, athletics are more than just games. They're an essential part of the Husky experience. From D1 hockey games to championship-winning wrestling, volleyball, and more, there's Husky pride in every corner of campus. Whether you're on the field, in the stands, or cheering from the student section, you're a part of something big. And the best part? SCSU is close to home, affordable, and packed with community that's got your back, in class and on the court. Come see what it means to be a Husky. Schedule your campus tour today at St. Cloud State University, the home of the Huskies.
It's still happy hour with John Gaskins. This round's on me.
Yeah, baby! Look who's here. Jim Olander, President, Sioux Falls Stampede. Best 72 hours or so after a fourth Clark Cup. You've been here for all of them?
I have been here for all four, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
President and play-by-play announcer of the Sioux Falls Stampede. And it never ends. The party never ends. We thought it did yesterday. They were hanging out at Barrel House yesterday, coaches, players, with the cup.
Yeah.
With anybody who wanted to come by and take a picture with it and drink out of it, right?
That's right. You got to celebrate. You got to bring it. We'll get it. We're going to get that thing all over town, that's for sure.
That 12-hour, how long was the bus ride? 12 hours or so?
Yeah, the bus ride's a little over 12 hours,
Okay.
yeah.
Did you guys, after you scored the game-winning goal, did you get to go? I mean, I'm sure nobody really wanted to sleep.
They stayed at the hotel and
they did. Okay.
Celebrated, and then the next morning got up and headed back to Sioux Falls.
Okay, that must have been a fun bus ride.
Yeah,
Or was
I
everybody
wasn't.
tired?
I actually wasn't on the
You
bus ride
weren't?
this time. Nope. I'm
Okay.
getting old, and I had brought my family, so we went separately. But
Okay.
I've heard some stories, and yes, I think it was a fun bus ride.
Well, I guess we'll have to hear the stories from Ryan
Yes,
Crothers, the head
yeah.
coach. He's going to show up at Gateway Lounge here. It's a Wednesday afternoon just after 3 p.m. And, 24 hours ago, you were hanging out with the Cup at Barrel House, and then the celebration at the Birdcage. Last night, our own Trent Singer was there, and he wrote a column, covered the celebration, took videos and pictures. That's all up there at SiouxFallsLive.com. But we're kind of taping before Ryan gets here so we can give him a big hero's welcome. Get this
Deservingly
joint
so.
jumping.
Yes.
But the proverbial, have you come down from the high yet? I mean, are you still waking up? This is what, the 1, 2, 3, 4th morning you've woken up and you've won the Clark Cup. And you just kind of go, we won the Clark Cup.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind. It has, because we've just had a lot going on, and obviously the celebration on Saturday night, then traveled home on Sunday. We got, Sunday night was the rival of the team, and we had our amazing fans at 11:30 at night, and there he is.
Oh, look who's here! Hey, Sioux Falls Stampede coach is here, folks.
Hey guys.
Clark Cup champions.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Ryan Crothers is here. Who else do we have?
Trevor Kleckner, Coach Kleckner.
Well, hi, Coach Kleckner.
Coach Kleckner, come say hi to everyone.
Thanks for stopping by.
No, you get in the camera and then get out of here.
Good to see you, Trevor Kleckner.
Good to see you. Yes.
Jim Olander, pleasure.
Jim, hey, Jim, how you doing? Nice to meet you.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, appreciate it. We were just mentioning how Jim did not partake in the fun on the bus on the way home. So we're just going to have to get your perspective. Or is what happens on the bus stays on the bus?
There's blue collar guys, and he had the flight. No, he actually had his family there, so there wasn't a lot of sleeping on the bus. It was a good time. Guys had a great time and got home safe. But that's who we were all year. We like spending time with each other, and to be able to sit on the bus and go through 12 hours on the way home and reflect on the season we had was a lot of fun. Just telling stories from game 5 to game 1 when we lost 5-1. Guys just telling stories together and hanging out. It was a great time.
We okay on the audio, Cordell? Is everything okay? Okay. They're going to share the microphones. Okay. So, Jimmy was just kind of talking about how it still feels surreal. It's been 72 hours. You've had 4 straight mornings where you've woken up. Now, he's had 4 of these, which has its own, unique charm and feel to it. It's the first one in 7 years, but it's your first as the coach of the Stampede. So, what have the last 72 hours been like?
Been amazing. This community is unbelievable. From Monday, it was a holiday, so my neighborhood was all celebrating and loved that we won, and I had the cup for the morning, and then the guys had it. And then yesterday the parade, and it's just been every day is like something else. And we went to lunch, and then our players went to Pizza Shop. It's been great to us, and they were there with the cup, and it's cool to see this community embrace this group. And today was our exit meetings. It's kind of a sad day as a coach, and no matter how close you are with the team, you never get the whole group together. And I have never won one at the USHL level, but I've won 4 others, and we get together for reunions and we get together for weddings and things, but it's never the whole group. And you know what? Today was the last day of the whole group together, and it's bittersweet, but we got the ultimate goal and the ultimate prize, and we're enjoying it.
Well, I mean, we'll kind of walk our way back, but we'll stick with the last 24 hours because 24 hours ago you said you hadn't slept yet.
Yeah.
So did you get any sleep overnight here, Tuesday into Wednesday?
I got a little bit, not a lot, but
okay.
a little
bit. You have 2 young kids too, right?
I do. I got 2 young kids. They were in the parade. It was amazing, and then I spent the rest of my night with Jimmy, and we had a great time, and we got home late.
Well, good. Yeah. Okay, all right. You got to get out of the house.
Got out of the house.
Okay, all right. You got to celebrate a little, catch up. What was it like at Barrel House yesterday?
Barrel House is I'm very superstitious, as everyone knows, and Barrel House is a place that we would go to sometimes and for lunch or whatever, and we went twice during the playoffs, and the game after we went, we lost both. So I banned the Barrel House. Coach Collector didn't like that. He lives next door to the Barrel House. I think he sleeps there most nights. But I banned the Barrel House. I said no one's allowed to go to the Barrel House till the playoffs are over. And then I got a FaceTime before Game 5 it was Game 4 against Fargo. And I look at the ceiling, and my wife and kids are in Barrel House. And I'm like, what are you doing? They're like, we didn't know the rules apply to us. I'm like, yeah. So they were there. But we went back yesterday to kind of recap everything with our GM and hung out all afternoon. And it was a great time before the parade.
Yeah. And again, fans had a chance to take pictures with the
club. I met some of your favorite people in the world. Yeah, they were speaking very highly of you, okay. And they were
probably
enjoying some drinks.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were drunk, but they had great things to say about you, and we had a good time with the fans.
Yeah, I wanted to go. I just couldn't get out of work. If I would have, I would have worked there. But it's okay. We're here. We knew we would be here, and that's great. And then the celebration at the Birdcage. First of all, Jimmy. How did that come about? Why was that the venue that was chosen, and how did it play out?
I think we wanted to have a spot where we knew we'd have a good turnout. I was very confident that we would have a lot of fans, and with the season we've had, and just kind of thinking through, and Coach and I had talked before, kind of. He has always been wanting a parade, and I was kind of like, well, I can kind of get you one. Like, it's going to be kind of a parade. So we were able to work with one of our sponsors, Rosenbauer, and they were great, and, got us some huge fire trucks for the guys to be on. And the whole point was just to, kind of have a grand entrance into the stadium and let the fans be able to cheer. And everybody came out, and, they're on the sidewalk cheering for the guys. And then we had the fire trucks and police come right in front of them and get a chance to see the players. So, something that I know I'm not going to forget anytime soon, and I could only imagine being a player and being on the truck and, experiencing that in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And, we talked to the players about it, and I mentioned it in my speech yesterday too. I mean, they're never going to have another team like this, and I don't think they're going to go on to a lot of bigger and better things, but I don't think they're going to be in a community like this. They're not going to be around a fan base like this again. So for them to get to experience that one more time, I think it's pretty special.
Okay, so I'll ask you, and then I want to get Ryan's answer. When you say that they're never going to have a team like this, what do you mean by that?
I've been around obviously a lot of teams, and this one was special. Just Coach talked a lot about them being family, about the culture, and credit to him. He's obviously a great coach and has proven that, and he got these guys to buy in to his system and to playing as a team, and there were no egos on this team. I mean, everybody loved everybody. I mean, I saw it from just traveling with the team for lunches. Usually during a season you'll see little pockets where 3 or 4 guys kind of hang out for lunch together, and it's kind of the same guys all the time, or they're going to to Chipotle together or whatever, and this team literally did everything together, and it was always somebody different sitting with somebody else at lunch or a pregame meal or whatever it was, and you could just tell. And again, backs up against the wall 4 times this playoff. When you're talking about teenagers and it's getting nice out, I mean, nobody would have faulted them at all, but it'd been pretty easy to just be like, you know what, I want to go home. I'm ready to go home. It's been a long season. I mean, these guys have been here since August.
Wow.
So I mean, it's been basically 9 months of hockey, and they didn't want to. They wanted to. I think that's what powered us through, is they did not want to leave Sioux Falls. They didn't want to leave this team, and ultimately it helped us and pushed us to winning the cup.
Ryan, what does it mean to you? Well, first of all, when he says they'll never have a team like this, the guys on the team will never be on a team like that. But for you, how is this unique to even any team you've coached on? You've said you've coached winning teams, which I'm sure some of them had.
Yeah, they all have their different stories and storylines. I just want to go back to the parade and what Jim did and what I put him under. I said it to the guys. You do different things to motivate them, and I one day I was like, you know how good it's going to feel when we're in the parade and we're in Sioux Falls, and then we started winning more and more, and I was like, Jim, we're probably gonna need a parade. I don't want to lie to the guys. We're gonna have to do a parade here. He was like, I don't know, but we got to figure something out. And that parade yesterday, like what the community did for us, and Jim and Rosenbauer, and I mean, that stuff for me, it gives me chills. I just had lunch with my staff, and all we did was watch videos of the parade the whole time, and because none of us ever experienced anything like that. I mean, to stand on top of a fire truck and people cheering for you, and there was cars stopping and honking. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and I want to do it again. But yesterday was the best moment I've had, other than when Joey Macrina scored that goal. Yeah. Yesterday was just like a surreal experience that I want to cherish forever.
Okay, so paint the picture for those who weren't there, how the parade worked. Like, was there a little bit of a cavalcade into the stadium?
Yeah, so we had them come down West Avenue, and we had all of our we had people in the birdcage starting at 6 o'clock. We asked them to come out at 6:30 and kind of line up at the edge of the parking lot there near the street, and we had the trucks come by, and they basically passed, and obviously they're on the other side of the street. So then we had them come into the parking lot, and then they made their way and drove right past the fans, and then right up to the birdcage where they hopped off and got into the stadium to get ready for the ceremony.
And what kind of a crowd did we see?
Amazing. I mean,
I don't know.
I think
our guys were there for 3 hours signing autographs after. I mean, and they love doing it. And I think we talked about that at lunch, is that, season's over, we won, they're kids, who knows what they want to do, but to sit on the infield of the birdcage for 3 hours and sign autographs with smiles on their face, that's the type of character that we had. Like, to me, that was the defining moment. If people ask why we won, watch those guys sign autographs when their season's over and they're on to other things, or they're got a flight tomorrow out of town, and they sat there and they took pictures and they signed autographs and they hugged their fans. And to me, that the group is so cool. It's like, it's not miracle, like it wasn't that, but it kind of was in the way in which we went about it. Those guys loved each other, and that was the only way this team could win, was with that, and they did it.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up, because I brought it up yesterday in my own little monologue essay about the team, just based off of the kinds of things both of you had told me in earlier interviews this season. And but you've always used blue collar. You're a Long Island guy. That's a blue collar thing. And some guys who had been cut from other teams and all that. And you kind of, this was purposeful how you kind of put that together. You and Tony Gasparini. And so I guess I'll ask you the question. In what parallels were there to the way Herb Brooks put together that team? Everybody's seen the movie. Everybody knows the story. Yeah. But the story starts with who he decides to put on that team, who he thinks can actually go out there and achieve something. And I'm guessing that's all this was very intentional on your part.
There was, but there's a balance. Like, Tony and I, we don't always see eye to eye, and I think that's what makes us special together. We complement each other extremely well. You think about the Miracle movie, and Herb hands the roster over, and they just started. It's like day one. And there wasn't that, but there's been moments where Tony's been like, Ryan, no, it's him. And I'm telling you, trust me, and I resist and push back, and then it turns out to be him. And there's times where I've said, hey, Tony, like, this is non-negotiable. This is the guy. And I think that's what makes him a great GM, is that We feed off of each other. We believe in each other. We trust each other. And this team, though, because of the rule change that went on, we don't have to get into all that, but like we lost 7 forwards in the summer. Replacing 7 of your best forwards is hard to do, but when we went about replacing them, we said, okay, we're not looking for this talent or that talent. We need the right pieces right now because it's too late in the summer. And then that's when you add a Macrina, and then you get a Chua midway through the year. Just little pieces. Thomas Holtby was a guy when we lost Ritter Coombs, we went and got Thomas Holtby. So like there was a method to the madness, and a lot of it though was for me building off our culture. I wanted guys that knew each other. I wanted the new guys we brought in. I wanted the ones that were here. They wanted those guys here. So I called those guys and said, hey, who do you like? Do you like this kid? You played with him before. Was he a good teammate? Do you want him in our locker room? And that's how we built this team. And the players deserve as much credit as Tony, myself, Jim, whoever. Like, they're the ones who decided who they wanted in their locker room and who they wanted to do this with. And I think that's ultimately why we became a family so quick.
I mean, Jim, how would you describe the identity and the personality of this team? And did you have a sense, 40-plus wins last year under your first-year head coach, so that was some nice momentum. But what did you sense then? And after 74 games, how will you remember this identity?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it starts with Ryan and his staff. I mean, they get the guys to buy in. He knows the players he wants, and it's not, with every coach, right? It's some players it's not a right fit, and sometimes there's trades, and we've seen it all along. And we've had it in Sioux Falls, and where we've maybe traded someone and they do really well, and people are like, oh, why'd you get rid of him? Well, they didn't fit here, but they might fit somewhere else, and vice versa. We might get somebody, Thomas Zoko, that wasn't fitting in Fargo and fit very well for us and ends up being our leading scorer. So yeah. I mean, there's
fourth in the league.
There's all kinds of different stories, but I think the coaching staff has just done a tremendous job of getting the right guys and getting them to buy in and getting that team first mentality. And I say it because look at where we are in this age of sports where, let's be honest, it's not really a lot about teams anymore. It's me at the professional level. I feel like it's getting, unfortunately, that way at the collegiate level with NIL money. And, it's just the guys are more worried about how do I get to that next spot? And obviously our guys want to move on. They want to get to the NHL, but, Coach has done such a great job of making sure that they can still accomplish those goals, but doing it as a team and helping everybody else. And that's, going to make them better human beings in life, and is going to make them better hockey players too. Because I think the fun thing is now you watch on, and over the years with the Stampede, it's been fun to see our former captains. Like a lot of our former captains go on to be captains of collegiate teams, pro teams, and it starts here. So what they learned here, and even the guys that aren't captains are probably going to eventually be a captain someday. But I think they take what they learned here in Sioux Falls and apply it to their team and at the next level, and it all starts here, which I think is special.
All right, I'm going to stick with Jim Olander here and take me back to the hiring of Ryan Crothers as the head coach. I know he had been an assistant for a year, and then he went and coached in another league in North Carolina for a year. Yep. So you're familiar with him, but who is the brain trust that hired him? Take me back to why you landed on him.
So I got to know Ryan pretty well, obviously, when he was an assistant here, and we became pretty good friends, and we stayed in touch. And when he left, the first thing he told me and Tony was, hey, I got to take this opportunity, but if the head coaching job ever becomes available in Sioux Falls, I want to be your first call. And as the next season dwindled down, we just felt like we had a really good team, but we just weren't getting over that hump and to that next level, and we were kind of middle of the pack. And we were at a point with the Stampede where it was like we need to do something, right? Like we need a fresh voice. We've had too many years here where we're not, like, just getting to the playoffs is not acceptable in our minds for the Stampede. We're not patting ourselves on the back just to get a playoff appearance. We need to get to that next level. And so anyway, when we decided to make the move, I talked to Tony Gasparini, and Tony handles a lot of the hockey stuff. I let these guys handle a lot of that, but when it comes to this, I wanted to be involved a little bit, and I said, we have to call, right? And he's like, yep. And so we talked about it, and I said, there's nobody else to talk to. Just talk to Ryan. Can we get him here? Can we make it work? He's, from, the only thing we were really nervous about was that he obviously was from Carolina and his family was there, and was he going to want to move here and move his family? And, any sports that's difficult. But, we talked to him. We didn't talk to anybody else, and we were able to make it work. And, I just knew from his experience and his work ethic and what he can do, I knew it was going to be a good fit. I knew this was going to be a guy and that was going to get us to that next level. And it started last year, and it only took 2 years to get here.
And so I'll follow up with you. Obviously, you were familiar with him, but he was on the previous coaching staff. So what did you see in that year that you thought, okay, we should take him from assistant, and he's the head coach to take us to the next level?
I think for one that I don't think maybe everyone remembers, but I mean, Ryan was a head coach, so he was. It was unique to have. He wasn't your I don't want to call a typical assistant coach that it's his first gig, or a lot of times in our league, right? This is an entry level. This isn't a first opportunity for guys to kind of get, that upper level of hockey. And he had coached the Chicago Steel. He had coached obviously pro. He had coached the North American Hockey League. So it was a different feel, and just his relationship that he had with the players, and you could just tell that they were buying into what he was teaching, and his special teams work, the players he was working with, the number of guys we had that he worked with that were drafted was impressive. So it was evident right then and there that and obviously he gets a head coaching job in professional hockey. It's he's not your average first year assistant coach with the team, and to Ryan's credit too, like he could have never come to Sioux Falls, and he could have just tried to be a head coach somewhere else, and he really wanted to be in this league. That's what he told us. I'm willing to come back and take what I'm guessing was a fairly significant pay cut to come to Sioux Falls and but he just wanted that opportunity, and and again he made the most of it, and here we are today.
Well, Ryan, we learned a little bit about your background growing up in Long Island, and a little bit about your coaching career before you got to Sioux Falls when we chatted with you. February 25th, if anyone wants to Google that, learn more about Ryan's story on Happy Hour. Happy Hour, Ryan Crothers, February 25th. Google it. It'll come up. I've tried. It did. Okay, so you were kind of nodding your head like leaving a pro hockey league, because the Stampede Field Pro, but they're not. Leaving a pro league for you're nodding your head at the significant pay cut. So why?
Well, it was pretty easy, to be honest. I mean, when I came as an assistant coach, it was a significant pay cut, and but I love the junior hockey level. I love it, and it's there's so much you deal with every day that I love. Like a kid walks in and you see his face and something happened. Maybe girlfriend broke up with them. Maybe parents are going, oh, you have no idea, and I love that part of it. And that's what's different than pro hockey is a job. And you're still developing young men to be men. So you get to deal with schools and things like that. It's a lot more than just being a hockey coach, and I love that. But when I came to Sioux Falls for that 1 year, this place is special, and you could feel it, and I knew it. And
do you mean the city or just the facilities, the club?
It's everything. It's like the fan base, and this city it's such a cool city to me, and it's like a mini NHL city, but you're doing it at the junior hockey level, which I love, and it just has so many elements to it. And then, obviously spent a lot of time with Jim on the bus and be like, this organization's the best in the world. And I knew I wanted to come back here, and I give, Chuck Norris was my owner and business partner in North Carolina with the pro team.
We went through the Chuck Norris jokes.
Yeah, and he's, you know what, I look up to him a ton. He's a mentor of mine. He's a very successful businessman, not just hockey owner. And when he recruited me to leave Sioux Falls and coach at the pro level, he said, just promise me you won't leave me. And I said, the only way I leave you is if Jim Olander calls and offers me Sioux Falls. So it went back and forth, and actually Chuck was out here and got to meet Jim. His son was in our camp a year ago, and you need people in your corner that believe in you and the way that you work and support you. And I remember calling Chuck and being like, hey, I got bad news. He's like, don't tell me Sioux Falls called. I'm like, they called.
Yeah.
So to come here and be a head coach in the USHL, which to me is the greatest junior league in the world, and the caliber of kids I get to work with, and then to do it here, there's 15 other teams in the league, and it's not Sioux Falls. Sioux Falls is the best building, the best fans, the best owners, the best city. It's everything. So it was a no-brainer.
What makes him the best owners? When you say just the quality of the club itself, what do you mean by that?
You know what? When I was here as an assistant, I met one owner once, and that was it. And then I wanted to make a point of getting to know them, and I think they felt the same way with us. I saw them around more, but I did a staff retreat this year, and I had an owner each day do a Zoom presentation to our coaches and tell us about them and who they are as people and how they ended up owning the Stampede and what their expectations were of us. And I thought that really grew our relationship with the ownership, but they're always supporting, and I've never gotten a text from an owner that's like, oh, you better win tonight, or you know what, we need to do this or that. It's just, what do you need? How can we support you? Love what you're doing. Very complimentary and just very supportive, and you don't have that everywhere. So to have owners that are just there to support you and what you need to do to win, it's a great feeling. And then that bleeds down into Jim and Tony, and I just feel so comfortable here. Like I could just be me authentically, and I think that's important.
Yeah, well, it is important. How did we go from last year to this year, where you reach the playoffs, you get home ice, but you broke through this year? What or who is the biggest difference? Either of you.
Well, Leonard Feldberg's. If you have a Lenny, you can do anything in life. I've learned that.
Yeah.
I think that's we look at each other and it's like, okay, Lenny's an easy answer.
Yeah.
But then there's no other answer. It's just a team. It's a family, and I can't say it enough. And I don't know. People don't believe us when we talk about this team and what it was, but it was always next man up. This was very hard what we did. We were in first place for most of the year. We had the bye, home ice, and we had a target on our back all year, but we were never this superpower that was healthy and talented, and they all had talent, but they used it together. So, I could tell you November, Brett Solomon was a big reason. I could tell you in January, Brett Solomon was not an outcast, but he was non-existent. He was going through a slump, so it was Joey Macrina, right? And then it's Noah Manasow, and it's Marcus Jacobson, and then it's, whoever. Logan Rankowski scored 42 goals. We don't ever talk about him. I told him the other day, I said, I feel bad every time we do interviews, I never talk about Logan Rankowski. Logan Rankowski is probably one of the biggest reasons we won. Yeah. And he doesn't get talked about because he doesn't care. He's just a captain, the leader, calm, and he scores goals like no other. So, he's a big reason. And for me, the guys that decided to come back and be a part of this again, Matthew Grimes is a kid who has been in the league 3 years. Last year, he thought it was going to be his big year, and he gets to play all the time and do everything. And now a new head coach comes in, and I know Matthew, and it didn't go easy for him. And he's very talented. He could have left us and gone anywhere he wanted to. And he was like, no, I believe in what you're doing. I believe in this. And it's those stories that's why we broke through. We broke through because we had a collective group. And Lenny.
What's that?
And Leonard Feldbergs.
Okay. I thought you said and money. I'm like, guys, you're not supposed to pay the players. Yeah.
Well, some teams.
Money will help. The team we beat did.
Well, anything to add to that answer,
Yeah,
Jim?
I think, starting with Lenny, I think if you look at championship teams, you have to have a good goaltender. You can have the best players in the world, but if you don't have a good goalie, Lenny was something special, though. I've been fortunate to see a lot of good goalies here, and I just said the other day, he might be the best goalie that's ever come out of Sioux Falls. We're talking, and that's not we have Jeremy Swayman, Charlie Lindgren in the NHL, Jackson Stauber won us a cup. There's just something about him, and I think what was really, a couple things. One, this coach was mentioning that I think gets lost is, I think probably what made us better down the stretch, too, was that we had so many injuries that everybody got to play. And you had guys that probably, in all honesty, probably wouldn't have played if we were healthy, would have been scratches. But they got to play, and not only did they play, though, but they stepped up, and they found ways. And guys, even a Thomas Holtby, who's a tough physical guy, all of a sudden he starts scoring goals for us, and he starts making plays. And, he rose to the occasion and saw his opportunity and took it. And there were a lot of guys like that they got an opportunity to come out and play. And I really do think down the stretch it made us better, because then when we finally got healthy into the playoffs, again, we didn't have a lot of options, but everyone was you weren't having to throw someone in that maybe played 15 games all season, and now all of a sudden you're asking them to go play in the playoffs. And with a lot of teams, that can happen when you have injuries. So I think that was a big piece of it. And then I told Coach in the post-game interview, I thought it was really fitting how we won the cup, because not only because, as he's always said, no easy victories, and we made it hard on ourselves, but I mean, here you have, in one play, you have Leonard Feldbergs making 2 unbelievable saves. You have, Brock Schultz diving across to knock it away. Macrinas knocks it off the boards, and Lenny's been the backbone of the team, and then the team has used that to fuel themselves. And sure enough, he makes incredible saves, and we go down and we score the game winner and we win it. And I think, and one thing too, I'll add that I think is pretty cool that I didn't, as I was calling the game, I'm just excited and obviously losing my mind. I'm not really paying attention, and when I went back and watched, I was realizing that nobody's really hugging Joey Macrina. He's throwing his stuff in the air, and they're all because
he's Jim Valvano out there
because they're going to Lenny, and it wasn't nothing against Joey. I mean, he got the game winner, but that's the team, and you don't see that very often. What happens in an overtime, usually everybody goes to the guy who scored and he's the hero, but everybody on this team knew, hey, that doesn't happen if this guy doesn't play out of his mind, and I think that was pretty cool to see.
So, I mean, quick selfish personal story. I'm watching, just worked the Sioux Falls Canaries game, and we put it on the big board.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And so I spent the first overtime with some of the fans who stuck around in the club room that was there for Friday and Saturday, and it sold out both nights, guys, for Stampede fans.
That's awesome.
Special, club room, and some of them were season ticket holders who didn't, I don't know what their arrangement was, but they were both Stampede and Canaries fans. Anyway, first overtime, I think Leonard's had a couple big saves there too. Wow, that saved the game, but couldn't quite score, and so everybody's kind of on edge, and we all know the night before it was 2-goal lead with 4 minutes left, didn't happen, and sorry to bring up a sore spot. Canaries fans are having serious PTSD because same situation, best of 5 series, you're up 2-1, and you're this close, 4 minutes away, 1 inning away, 3 outs away, in game 4 to win the series 3-1, and it doesn't happen, and so then we're hoping history doesn't repeat itself for the Canaries. Or for the Stampede. Anyway, I'm going to go now over into the booth with Randy Preston, who's the PA announcer for the Stampede, also for the Canaries, and the 2 people that are always in there with him, Christine, the video, also the video game. What do you call her out there? She's in charge of
she runs the show.
She runs the show. I mean, basically anything that's not the hockey and Randy, it's Christine on the video board. She does that at Canaries as well. Anyway, we see the 2 saves, bing bing there in the double overtime with, and we're all. And I'm not a huge hockey expert, but they know a good save when they see one, and we're listening to your calls. So if Jimmy's getting this excited about a save, you're not going to just say that willy nilly. I mean, they're all big when it gets to that point.
Right.
Anyway, the second save happens, and Macrina is able to pick up the puck, all of us are just yelling, "Go, go, come on, go!" It's take advantage of this. Don't let this rest on a great save. This is it. Score the goal. And we believed it, but we couldn't believe it. It just ended right there. And we've already played the call to start the interview, but this is where we play Jimmy's call again because I can't hear it enough.
Flipped in the air, and it's knocked away by Betzold. Here's Vukas, shot, tip, save, rebound, knocked away, it comes free. Another save by Feldbergs. What a save! A tremendous glove save. He was on the ice, and here come the herd. Macrina along with Schultz, 2-on-1. Macrina shoots, he scores! He scores! He scores! Joey Macrina, the overtime winner, and the Stampede are Clark Cup champions. Yeah! Baby!
Okay. Oh man, it was just you got everything on the spot, plus the excitement, plus everything, the stamp on it and everything. How many times have you played that call?
Everyone asked me that yesterday, and I didn't have it really. A couple times on the bus, but not to really soak it in. And watched the game yesterday, and it's funny when you watch it and you hear Jim call it, and then you look. But as a coach, and we were sitting as coaches, I'm like, what were we doing here? Like the lead up to Lenny's saves might be the worst hockey sequence we've had all year, and
really?
it's just like, yeah, but they're kids, and they're like, Ryder Betzel sat in my living room yesterday, and we watched it together, and it's like we're doing film, and the season's over, but I'm like, Betsy, what were you doing here? He's like, Coach, I have no idea. He's like, you have no idea how scared I was once. I'm like, why? He's like, oh man, I knew it was going to be bad if this didn't go our way. But it's like, and he goes, but if I don't make that bad play, we don't win. I'm like, yeah. So it's like,
Good point.
yeah, it's like cool
Yes.
stuff like that. Watching it, I agree with Jim. Like the celebration, I don't think anyone's. I've never seen anyone or team celebrate like that, where they rush to their goalie. Unless it's a shootout in the regular season, but to win a cup, everyone goes to the overtime hero. And the overtime hero happened to be two people. It was Lenny and it was Joey. And Joey's a heart and soul guy. He'll be one of our captains next year. And yeah, it is fun to watch. And then like, I cry a ton. The guys make fun of me because I've been crying for like 3 weeks or 3 days.
Sure.
But there's just like so many moments with guys that you go through hard times and good times, and then that my dad was there and my youngest son was there, and like we lost game 3, and there's kids like talking trash to my 11-year-old son, and it's like, all right. And then to see him on the ice like with the cup, and knowing that those people were in that building that had things to say to him, and then to me it's like the best feeling in the world. And Jim's kids were there, and both Jim's kids have played youth hockey for me. And then like even last night that I watched, I don't remember it going out and celebrating with the guys, but to have like Brooks Salama was like in my hands and we're like celebrating, and he's a youth kid that played for me. But I think that's something that we've done in this community that's different. Like we've generated a youth hockey program that believes in what we do and our coaching, and not just hockey coaching, but like development. So I don't know, there's so many moments when you look back at that goal. It's like Joey Macrina was the last guy we took this summer. To see Ethan and Eli out on the ice celebrating, and I'm on the ice with them all the time, see my son, then to go to the parade yesterday, it's just like, that's us. That's Sioux Falls Stampede. It's a community now.
Yeah. I want to hear more about, both Macrina and Lenards. I mean, I'd love to hear about every guy on the team if we had time, but I'll start with the goalie that everybody rushed to. I mean, take us behind the curtain of his personality, day in, day out, as a gamer on the ice. Just.
I think I had my first full conversation with him like yesterday. He's just he goes about his business. He's a pro. He really is. And him and Brandon Weldon, our goalie coach, associate head coach, they have a relationship too. But the amount of off days we had during the playoffs, just because we were injured, we were banged up, but a goalie wants to stay sharp. Lenny is at the rink every day wanting to go on the ice, wanting to get better. He never stopped wanting to get better. But he's very calm demeanor. Like we pulled our goalie one time all year, and it was in Lincoln in the playoffs because I just wanted to talk to him, and I put him back in the net. But to go through a whole season and not have to pull your goalie and change him out, like, is impressive. And I think that's what's great about him is he could give up a weak goal early or whatever, and he just stays the same. And as a coach, all you ask for is a goalie that makes you feel comfortable, like you could win every night. And Lenny made me feel like I could do anything. And that our style of play, too, is very high risk, high reward. Okay. And you need a great goalie like that that fits that style. And he did that, because when we give up a chance, it's usually a really good one.
You kind of got to want it, don't you? Like, you got to want, like, okay, shoot 50 pucks at me tonight.
Yeah, but there's times with him where, in the playoffs we gave up, I don't know, Jim probably knows that, but it might be 7 5-on-5 goals. Like, we gave up a lot of 6-on-5, and we're going to work on that. And we gave up some shorthanded goals, which is us. But we really found a way to defend hard in the right way. And the pucks, if Lenny can see it, he's going to save it. And I thought our team did a great job. As much as Lenny bailed us out a ton when we made mistakes, I thought our guys did a really good job of lightening his workload in critical times. And like Lenny's going to be in the NHL. It's just a matter of time.
Is he the best we've had here? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
I mean, yeah, he's. I think he probably is, and we've had a lot of great goaltenders. Yep. So it says a lot about him. And I think the other thing to add too with Lenny is just he's so calm and collected in the net. And many post-game shows, I would talk to Coach, and we'd kind of get to the end, and I'd be like, oh, yeah, and by the way, Lenny played really – because we'd win 4-2, 6-2, but you'd kind of get lost. But what you'd forget is the fact that, he made 4 really big saves in the first period, 2 amazing saves in the second period that gave us that opportunity to win that game. So, and he just, again, we talk about the team, especially with him. I mean, he's just a likable guy. I think that's why the fans love him too, not just because he's a good goalie, but there's no ego. He doesn't think he's, better than anyone else. He just goes about his business and wants to win.
Like I said, I'd love to talk about all the guys, and Zacco was maybe your best offensive player, at least statistically, and that was a guy that was cut by Fargo. But Macrina had the winning goal, and he's like maybe the shortest player in the league, right?
Yeah,
so you got to have some sort of unique personality in athletic competition if you're of that stature.
Well, I think the crazy thing with Joey Macrina is he's the nicest human, calmest human. Like anywhere I've gone in town this year since Joey Macrina's been here, everyone talks about, I love Joey Macrina. He's my favorite. Whether it's we're getting our guys go and get IVs and stuff and fluids, and they're like, that little guy Joey Macrina, he's the nicest guy. And then you go to Chipotle and it's like, little guy Joey Macrina. You go to youth practice, Joey Macrina. He's just a great human, but he plays like he's 6'7". I mean, that Fargo and Muskegon, he was out muscling and out beating guys twice his size, and it's because of his heart. And I don't mean heart like he's tough and cares. He cared about his teammates more than him. He is the ultimate teammate. Like, he was not going to lose a battle because he knew it would disappoint his teammates. And I think it was only, and I'm not saying I'm a psychic, but I said Joey Macrina is going to win this thing for us. I told our coaches in the locker room, I said, Joey Macrina will score a goal and he'll win this for us. And
this was before the second overtime? Oh my God!
And he did, and it's cool. But I believe in hockey gods, and the hockey gods take care of people like Joey Macrina because of everything he does is the right thing.
Holy smokes! Did he have the winning goal against Fargo in Game 5?
Yes,
mm-hmm. Yes, correct. He did to win that series, just to get to the cup.
Yep.
Again, so many crazy things happened just in the overtimes leading to the final sequence, which was crazy itself. So there's a lot of stories to be told forever and ever. But the way you guys won, the 4-0 in elimination games, being behind and needing to win every game 4 times just to make the finals, a bunch of 1-goal games, and you'd lost the first 2 game 2s, right? Or the first game 2, and then you won the second game 2.
Yeah, we lost the first game 2. We lost
both
game 2 in both series.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. And then we never won a game 3.
Nope.
Yeah.
So we lost all the game 3s in all 3 series.
And all 3,
but never lost a game 4.
They all have their own personality, but this game 3 where you're about to sweep the cup. I'm not asking for a post-mortem on how it went from 3-1 to 3-3 and you lost. But what the hell do you? What do you say? What do you do? How do you turn it back around after that? What were the guys like after that? Because they were this close.
That one was heartbreaking just because you're up by 2. You're that close. You start thinking about things.
Yeah.
But then you got to go back to the experiences that you've gained throughout the playoffs. And I remember losing in triple overtime in Fargo to put our backs against the wall, and you're ordering pizzas because the dinner we had was already cold, and then it's just like, how are we going to respond? And I remember we went in the locker room, and Joey Macrina, he goes, so you tell me we got to win 2 games in a row? And guys were like, yeah. And I didn't have to say anything. When we lost in triple overtime, it was like their ownership. They took ownership, and that might have been the most confident I've seen them, was after we lost that game. They were like, nope, it's not happening. And then they went out and they did it. And same thing in Muskegon. It happened, went in the room. I was pretty fired up. I was not as calm as I was in the Fargo series because they're this close to greatness, and you want it for them, but they just – JJ kept saying, Montero, who we don't speak enough about either, he's just like, they can't kill us. No one can kill us.
Yeah.
And he's like, guys, no one can kill us. We're good. We'll get it tomorrow. And sure enough, you go to the hotel, they're at the meal, and they're fine. And you get up in the morning, and they're happy. And you go to the rink, and they're confident. And you know what? Less than 24 hours later, you're a champion. And it's unbelievable.
And that was a hell of a game, right? That was kind of a back-and-forth game. Did it feel like an even draw the whole time, or?
Yeah, I mean, we were probably outplaying them, and I think that was probably the most frustrating. We kind of had them, and I think they were about done. But that's hockey, and we're a block shot, empty net, a goal away from winning 4-1 to. And that's hockey is a cruel sport, and a lot of times the team that's playing the best, and I think that's when you get to overtime. I think that's, at least for me, as watching games and calling games, like, done it enough that makes you nervous, just because a lot of times the team that's playing the best doesn't always win. They might be outplaying them, but it only takes a fluky play and the puck to bounce the wrong way and the other team to score. But I do think, having said that, I think, and I don't know what Coach felt, but I felt differently in Game 3 than Game 4. I think also Game 3 in overtime, it was deflating, and we weren't playing bad. We had some chances, but it just didn't seem like we were there. And in Game 4, in all honesty, I knew it was going to happen because we were just playing too well. I was just hoping it wasn't going to be some fluky play that they end up scoring. And to be honest, if they did, I feel like we would have came home Game 5 and we'd be talking today about what an amazing Game 5 at home. But yes. I think for everyone, it was as long of a season it's been, and as cool as it would have been to win at home, it was great to finish it. And I think in some ways it made the celebration, everything, even honestly more special, because not everyone got to be there and got to be part of it, though, last night and Sunday night at the Iceplex.
Absolutely. I think there's a part of all of us are kind of like, well, it'd be cool if they came back for a winner-take-all Game 5, but let's see them get it done now. And so we'll kind of walk it off with this. We know the whole group was tight, and everybody got to hug everybody else. But for both of you, in the moment it happened, you get to make the call. Obviously, I'm sure that was breathtaking. You'd had 3 of them before. Had any of them ended on a walk-off goal like that?
No.
Okay, so that had to be maybe one of your favorite calls ever.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's to get to call an overtime, double overtime game and game winner. I mean, that's pretty cool. And my only fear was I'm glad that everyone thinks it sounds like that it went okay. I was afraid that my voice was going to crack and that it was going to ruin the biggest call of the team's history, maybe. And but yeah, it's obviously special and obviously a moment I'm not going to forget. And I even had with my kids there. I mean, I brought Eli on for good luck because Eli's been on the broadcast throughout the year. He was on the broadcast. And after after regulation, I said, Eli, you're getting the call. And I think my older son Ethan was a little jealous. I told him he was going to get triple overtime if we didn't. But he was on the headset, and I was worried he was going to knock us off the air because he's jumping up and down, and he takes the headset off and he runs, and then all of a sudden he's gone, and then he comes back, and I'm like, aren't you going to go on the ice? Oh yeah, and he just runs downstairs, and so it's pretty. I mean, that was honestly the coolest thing, and. I can't thank Coach enough. I mean, he treats everyone like family. He treats my family like royalty and my kids. And I think what made this team special, too, is, my kids are on the ice. Brady's on the ice. Our coaches, assistant coaches, Brandon Wildung's son is on. I mean, but they love everybody. And I say that because, they're teenagers and they might kind of be like, hey, this is our moment. What are these kids running around? And that's not, they're hugging everyone. I mean, the players are hugging our front office staff. They're, it's just a special group and a special moment. And certainly one that I'll never forget because selfishly with them being there, I really wanted to win it with them there and get a chance to have them be on the ice and celebrate because they've never gotten that opportunity before.
And for you, Ryan, what was your perspective? Who were the first people you saw and we saw that thing go into the net?
It was our staff. I mean, I got pictures of it where it's just, I don't know how many of us were in there hugging, but it's just a family. And I got tackled on both sides, and then our athletic trainer and our equipment manager and everything. It was awesome, and then ran on the ice, and I don't know who I hugged first, but it might have been McCreena or just all the guys. And then it was special because my dad was there, and so he flew in, and I was waving him down to get on the ice, and then Brady was there. Brady, my youngest son came sprinting. My oldest son had a hockey tournament, I think similar to Jim now. He feels like he missed something or whatever, but my kids are at every game. They're with these guys all the time, and they really do. I don't think you get to see it in a lot of sports or just anywhere where 17, 18, 19-year-old kids want to be around our kids and be around us. Guys aren't scared to be in an elevator with the president of the team or be on the bus or sit at a table you go to a team meal and there's a seat here. No one's shy to sit with the staff or whatever. It's just one family. And, if Eli, Ethan, Blake, Brady, Tate, Trace, whoever, all my staff's kids, when they're around, they're part of the group. It's not random to see, my 2 assistants, their sons, Tate and Trace. It's not random to see them with Joey McGraw, like, skating around. It's not random to see Montero with Ethan and Eli. It's just, we are who we are. We're a family, and it works for us.
Hey, guys, thanks for all the hard work you put into this coming to fruition, and please tell everybody else on behalf. I think you felt the love, but I don't think you guys can be told enough. Thank you for giving this city a thrill, and also for telling the story of how it became that, because it makes everybody even more proud just of how good of dudes everybody is, and it's nice to see good things happen to good people. So,
well,
congrats once again.
Thank you guys for having us, and we'll be at the Canaries game on Friday night if anyone wants to see the trophy and throw out the first pitch, and we're looking forward to it.
Some of the players going to be there?
Whoever's still in town. I think there's a couple that are coming that are still in town, and it'll be our coaching staff and the trophy, and we'll have a good time.
That'll boost attendance. Just another reason to see and enjoy and honor the Sioux Falls Stampede. Jim Olander, the president, play-by-play announcer Ryan Crothers, the head coach, for video producer Cordell Wright, in the Gateway Lounge. Happy hour, and cheers.
You need anything else, John?
No, I think I'm good, Greg. I think I'm going to tap out.
All right. Have a good night.